Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya and welcome to another episode of Mainframe Matters. So today we have with us Emma Skovgård, IT Security Engineer Associate at Danske Bank. Emma, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure to host you today. I would love to, of course, talk about how the bank is, using Zowe. But before we go there, I would love to know a bit about if you can talk about the bank, and the kind of industry you folk operate in.
We're a multinational company that is spread over most of the Nordics, but we also have operations in the UK and bigger markets like that. I'm pretty new at the company. I just started, but we have a lot of modernization initiatives from what I've seen so far. And we're very much keeping up with all the stuff that's happening in the industry and staying up to date with new technologies like Zowe. I know the database people have been looking at the Zowe application framework, and I know we also have users of Zowe Explorer.
Can you talk about the role and importance of mainframe or open mainframe in the banking financial space?
So the mainframe still powers most financial institutions. I think it's like 9 out of 10 major banks that are still powered by the mainframe. And I don't see that going away anytime soon. The mainframe is doing a tremendous job at keeping up with security concerns and performance needs of major institutions like banks and large multinational insurance companies. So that's not going to change anytime soon, and it takes time to if one were to recreate all the features of a mainframe elsewhere. So I really don't see the mainframe going away anytime soon. It's just an incredible platform.
Excellent, thank you. And as you said, of course, mainframe is playing a very critical role. But one of the challenges that I feel that is associated with mainframe, because it has been around for so long, is that there are certain things, as you also mentioned, whether it's UI or some other technology, they need modernization to bring it to attract modern developers. So can you talk about some of those modernization efforts that are going on there?
There are multiple different ones going on. One of the ones I'm most passionate about, because it affects me as a young mainframer, is like how not user-friendly a lot of older interfaces are. So Explorer is great because it's very intuitive and it's similar to a lot of tools younger mainframers have been playing around with, either in previous jobs at university or on their free time. And I myself come from a hobbyist space. I used to create little stupid video games in my free time. And I used tools that are like way more modern than on what you see on the mainframe. So using VS Code and Zowe Explorer felt very natural. To me, it was more familiar, so I could jump in like right away and be productive. I can use the ISPF editor at this point, but it's a lot more cumbersome. I very much prefer using Zowe Explorer. And it's also been a great tool to learn some of the older technologies. I first started to understand like the file system on the mainframe way better once I had used Zowe Explorer a bit. So it's just a great learning tool. And a general way to get younger mainframers to be productive quicker.
I'm also curious, how and when did you hear or learn about Zowe?
I watched a video from, I believe, Jeff Bisty on Zowe Explorer and using it to program COBOL. It's not the most up-to-date resource anymore. And I've then moved on to use Zowe Explorer in Set Explorer. So a little bit of an old video from Jeff Bisty and also Set Explorer. That's mostly how I learned about Zowe Explorer and the Open Mainframe project.
And how and why did you get started with it? What attracted you towards it?
Just how intuitive it was. Like I understood what was going on almost immediately. It was very easy to get connected to the system, and it's just all around a great tool.
When you were exposed to Zoe, were you using it part of the work that you were doing for the company, or you started for your own personal curiosity?
I just started from my own curiosity to satisfy that. But as soon as I got like a proper job working with a mainframe, I immediately got around to installing Zowe Explorer and creating like a package I could roll out to people with Zowe Explorer and VS Code in it. And it immediately helped me become productive and stuff. So I highly recommend companies set it up, even if their senior mainframers refuse to use it. It's a great way to get younger mainframers comfortable on the system and productive quickly.
What was your experience like while using it? Now, when I'm talking about experience, of course, as you mentioned that you're a gamer, you also create game, and then you're interacting with a very stable technology like mainframe. And then if you can also talk about, because it's open source technology, it's not like you call up a company support line, you have to engage with the community. And how was the community experience as well? So I'm looking at three different aspects: your own personal experience using it as a technology, at the same time interaction with the community.
The mainframe community is great. I mostly hang around on LinkedIn and in System C enthusiasts. There's a huge amount of Zowe Explorer users, and also people who use the other Zowe technologies like the application framework on there. And it's very easy to get support, but you can also get official support. That is a thing a lot of people misunderstand about open source. There are like official support avenues you can go through it, either through Broadcom, Rocket Software, and IBM. And that is important to mention, because some companies will not allow open source technologies to be used unless you can get like an official support agreement. So it's not just a bunch of strangers on the internet playing around with technologies. There's also serious investment from companies into these technologies.
Of course, you have come across a lot of technologies, both, stable and the new one. Can you talk about what was the best part of Zoe that you loved the most?
I already touched on this a little bit, but it's just like a very intuitive interface. You don't really need much like training in order to use these tools. It's just a very like modern experience. Like I really can't stress that enough. And like I've been in situations where I've been able to do stuff quicker with Zowe Explorer and the Zowe CLI than my older colleagues have been with terminal emulators and older technologies. So it does actually work great in the real world. It's not just a fancy toy.
Now, if you look at the developers of your generation, the modern developers who are, exposed to all these newer technologies, more shiny technologies, and most of these new developers, they don't even hear technology like mainframe. They just all, hey, I want to do something on Kubernetes. I want to do something with ChatGPT. So why should folks look at mainframe and Zoe? Why should modern developers look at it? Not only from the perspective of toying and playing with the technology, but also from the career perspective.
So currently there's great career prospects in mainframes. A lot of companies have vacant positions that have been unfulfilled for, in some cases, years. So there's opportunities there. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes the salaries are higher. So that alone is a pretty objective example of why it's good to go into mainframes. But it's also just a very stable career. Companies are going to need mainframers for many, many years, probably decades. And it's also just a very stable career. I've seen some technology spaces where people are constantly switching new technologies, which that it can be a good thing, but it can also, for some people, be a very stressful thing. I've seen people say, "Oh, I really like working in the mainframe because I don't have to switch to a new web framework every second week." I think in some it depends. There are some mainframe customers that are a little bit too slow at adopting new things, but personally at my employer, I think we have a pretty good balance between switching to new technologies and also stability. So I think it's just a very stable career. You don't need to do changes for the sake of changes.
What advice would you give to those who need something like that, or who are going through the same challenges you went, so they can get the best out of technology like Zowe as they go on their own career path? What advice you have for them?
So there's a lot of different ways to get started with Zowe. Zowe Explorer is a great resource, but there's also a really good course from Jeff Bisty called Programming COBOL with VS Code or something like that. I can't remember the exact title, but that's also a very good resource. He's incredibly good at explaining things. I learned a lot of stuff from the different courses he's done. So I highly recommend those tutorials, and just try it. Like as everything else with technology, you just have to jump in and keep like hammering away until you figure it out. Like if you keep trying, you're gonna figure it out eventually. Like it's not impossible. You can also always reach out to the people in System C enthusiasts. We have a lot of friendly people there. LinkedIn has a lot of great resources. There's so many places. There's also a lot of learning resources at conferences like GSE UK. There's lots of different community options in the mainframe community. So just reach out to pretty much everyone. People are friendly and want to teach typically. So just reach out.
Emma, once again, thank you so much for joining me today and talk about, your own experience with Zowe. Thanks for great insights. Thanks for great advice there. And I look forward to talk to you folks again. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.